Welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I'm Tom Connors. This is a special presentation. With us is that umbrella guy. How are you doing?
Hey there. I'm doing pretty good, man. Thanks for having me on.
As always, we love having you here. This, though, is not just a normal Midnight's Edge After Dark broadcast. We're here to talk about your new comic book you've got out. Let me bring up the page here so people can see what we're talking about. Another case for the littlest umbrella. You just launched your campaign. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right. It's our second comic book. The first is actually attached to this as well. This is an all ages. When I say all ages, so many people want to look at that as for kids. It's not for kids. It's for everybody in it. It's all ages Lovecraftian tale. Basically, you follow our two, I'm going to call them heroes, our littlest umbrella. That actually is the avatar for my 6-year-old daughter when she live streams with me and stuff. That's her in here. So that's why you have the archetype, that umbrella guy. Basically, he's a detective archetype. And we're going in and trying to figure out something that challenges the world, an ancient threat. The guy I work with said, call it an ancient threat. I'm like, no, man, it's a Lovecraftian evil. Let's be real, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like the design and the idea that you have behind it. What was the inspiration originally for the whole idea? Obviously, it was probably something to do with your daughter, I would assume.
Yeah. My daughter, at first I was going to do just a horror book straight up. And I was sitting with my daughter and I've been around comics since I was about 3, and she doesn't like comic books that much. There's not a lot of appeal to newer comic books. Like when I was a kid, I could find anything for myself, or I could have found something for her. Nowadays, if I find something, it might be a property like IDW had, like My Little Pony or something. But I can't trust Batgirl or anything else. So why not go and make your own?
Was that also kind of the inspiration? You just didn't like a lot of the superheroes that were out there for your kid? And I mean, I've heard you talk about it before, but I mean, I want to kind of give the audience a little bit of an idea, of course. But I remember you saying, like, you wanted to be able to do something for your daughter and get her involved in comic books, which is obviously something you love.
The way I look at comics, when I was 3, my grandparents, like my grandfather, we lived in a small town. He actually introduced me to comics. We had spinner rags back then and stuff. And when I pull out a comic book from that time, I open it up and I don't just see like, subpar story a lot of times or anything, but I see the nostalgia attached to it. It's something about holding something there that is escapism, that's an actual print medium and having something positive etched to it. We have the ghost of yesteryear there. My grandparents are still there. And, all of these positive things that doesn't happen very often. Normally when we remember things, most things that we remember are negative, but with escapism, it's positive like that. I've always looked at comic books that way. And I want to be able to pass that down to not just my daughter, but to other people, so the industry is killing itself right now. The mainstream, they call their consumers Nazis. I picked up a Batgirl comic. I was trying to get my daughter into comics, so I bought a bunch of them. And one of the Batgirl comics I picked up had a scene in it. Now, again, it looks like a kid's comic, but when you go in, it has her talking to her friend and this other friend. They're a couple, and they're sad. So she asks why they're sad. Well, because they went to the fertility clinic, and the doctor misgendered one of them and didn't apologize for it. I thought, what the hell? I don't want to explain that to my then 5-year-old. So
right.
I thought we would make our own comic book and we would have fun.
Right. And to be fair, it would probably be the same even if it was a straight couple and they were having fertility problems. It's probably not something you'd really want to discuss with your kid.
Yeah. It's but they added more layers to it, like misgendering. What does that mean? I don't want to get into that. The fertility clinic, like you said, I don't want to get into that. This is a comic book that had like a brawler sequence. You have these. You have people coming in. It's very cartoony. They're fighting, and in the middle of it, you have this thing that is obviously the insertion. Something I don't want to explain to a 5-year. I mean, we're talking a 5-year-old here. So, our first comic was a black and white. It was more not just. It was more manga influenced, but also it it felt more, I mean, just true rough indie in a lot of ways. I worked with some really good artists there, but this time I want it to be all ages, but at the same time, I want more horror to it. I want to tell a horror story, and I look at this story like there is something terrible that it would destroy the world. If we were going to watch a movie of it, we would watch an R-rated movie, but we have a child narrator. So if we have a child narrator, you're going to have some friendly stuff in there. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and the art's amazing. I love this.
Oh,
But that's the other thing you're talking about too. Is it's kind of like your kid is that was her drawing. That's so great.
Mhm.
She's friends with, well, not friends, but she's met Kane Hodder at least once or
Mhm.
twice, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And in the Jason outfit, you were saying, correct?
Yeah. We were at a Bubba Fest. In fact, there's a drawing. Let's see, it'll be the next page. If you go down one, she's sitting at a table. Well, her avatar. It'll be that panel right there. So in that panel, it's actually it's hard to see on the campaign here, but her drawing is of her and Jason Voorhees getting together. That's actually one of her drawings. She, after meeting Kate Hodder, she she thinks that Jason Voorhees. He told her that Jason is nice when he takes off his mask. Like he's a gruff looking dude, and he's a man of few words, but he was really good with kids. And she asked him, are you nice or mean? He said, well, I'm nice when I take off my mask. So I thought that. So she's drawing that. I mean, that's like literally her drawing again, her avatar, and she's hanging out with Jason Voorhees going to the park.
That's amazing. And well, I mean, what's really cool kind of about Jason is he's never hurt a kid on screen.
Mhm.
He's never been about killing kids. In fact, the few times that he has come in encounters with kids, he just kind of leaves them alone.
Well, you and I have talked about
Yeah.
the way I look at this stuff. I came from mental health. I worked with monsters and I worked with victims of monsters. And I do not want my child being afraid of corn syrup and hose pipe tentacles. Now, of course, I would not let my child watch like gratuitous violence, gratuitous sex, or anything like that. Certain
Right.
movies but there are certain movies that they are what they are. I watched them as a kid. I snuck in. I used to watch them all the time, and
Oh yeah.
I grew up on them. Yeah, we basically have our main book, and this is a 6 a.m. comics. We have an ash can, or if we're being technical, it's a digest. Most people think ash can mini comic, but I mean technically we're talking a digest size comic book. So it's a smaller comic book. It's a 16 page with 12 page interior. It'll be another tale, but the dichotomy, the contrast is. I like it. I like his style. I think it's cute. That is not from the book, but that's him. Where he's done the characters before.
Yeah, I guess they're saying he kills them in the video games. Well, then they didn't get Jason. Jason never hurt kids.
Are we talking about the NES game?
Yeah. They don't understand Jason. Rosetta Allen, our good friend, sent us $5.
Hey.
Tug is completely right. My childhood would have been hopeless without sci-fi and comics from the library to escape into.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a large part of this community, is we all feel the same way about our fantasy. And this is a great example of you obviously taking inspiration from all the things that you kind of grew up with, like you were just saying, and trying to relate to your daughter in a way that she can kind of get engaged in this as well. I love the story you were telling about the first campaign where she decided she was going to sign each and every book. Tell us a little about that. That was
you can see her signature too in that one cover that with her artwork in it. She signs everything with a little heart and an E. She decided to start doing that. We were going to go to Anime Matsuri, or I was going to Anime Matsuri, and she wanted to send some stuff. So in that, if you just scroll down just a little bit, you can see there. You see that heart and the little E there? That's actually her signature. We went and transplanted it onto this. So that's her signature too. That's her artwork in this picture as well. That's her legit artwork. So, I asked her to make a picture of that umbrella guy, little umbrella girl, and our artist. He basically blended it in a way where, we can have her avatar holding her actual art. So at 6 years old, she can put something together. Again, that's the beauty of this stuff. But yeah, she decided she was going to sign comic books. And I was like, baby, we have 2,200 comic books. Like, that's how many we have to sign. And uh, I was signing those and Ashcan. So it'll be, I don't know, 5,000 books. Well, she was, there's 2,200 of what she was saying she'd sign. And she said she had to, she promised. And I was like, nobody expects you to be able to do that. She said, well, I promised. And she did. She signed every damn one.
That's kind of adorable, though, at the same time.
Yeah, she's a cutie. I mean, she's grown up around this. When I started playing around with YouTube and videos when she was 3. She has sat in my lap making videos since she was 3 years old, so I mean, she's grown up around the microphone, and the communities that we're in are awesome. I mean, they are awesome with, treating her with respect and kindness. And I mean, she'll sit down and she tells like really innocent stories, they're funny. And I don't know. I like it because we deal with dark stuff sometimes, and we deal with people that want to destroy our hobbies. And sometimes we need to be reminded of why we're fighting these people. And that's my reminder.
Yeah, that's very important. And not only that, they're trying to, even attack somebody's identity, even though they're trying to claim that's what they're all about,
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what we're speaking to what you were saying before was like, you don't want to sit there and have to explain to a 5-year-old what a fertility clinic is, what misgendering is, and like I said, it has nothing really to do with so much of the misgendering aspect of, like I said, I mean, even as a parent, I have a kid who's 18 now, but even if he was 5, that's the last thing I'd want to explain to him. Is like, I remember you saying like your daughter still thinks that the stork brings babies and poops them out of their butt or something like that.
She thinks somehow, I don't understand the logic to it, but she thinks storks bring babies, that they somehow get in your bellies and they come out of your butt. That's right.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so funny to let sit there and talk about it, but it's really innocent. It's like I said, it's fun stuff. And that's where kids need to be. She knows about, the only reason she knows about like babies and stuff is because, she has a little sister. So,
right.
But I want her to be innocent for as long as she can be innocent.
Well, I think that's what any parent wants, really, in the end. Yeah. But let's refresh. Let's see if you've gotten anything since we've started here. Oh, a little bit.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Hey, whoever picked that up, that's awesome. People have been asking, is the first book in here? Yes. Now I want to make this clear. When I make the books, I want people, like when they picked it up at the very beginning, I said I would not reprint first edition again. I have extras, but what I did to make it where, people could pick it up, feel good about it, we put in an extra cover, basically an ulterior cover. So what we have in this is we have our 2 cover options. We have the one by S.K. Bennett. He's doing all the interior work, by the way. He does everything.
That's the X-Men cover, right? You're talking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's his cover as well. But S.K. Bennett does all the work on the new book, and he's also responsible for this alternative cover.
There it is.
Yeah. So it's done right. The riff on the whole thing, you can see after, so it has it on the left. I mean, you always want to give credit to the original inspiration. So he does right there on the wall behind the poster. And then, again, it's a shout out to, we keep it safe in the original X-Men poster. It has like terminated and stuff. We were captured and dormant. Again, we're keeping it. Like I said, we keep it friendly. I mean, there's some creepy stuff in this newer book though. But that first book, I think people, I think people need something for kids. They are the audience that comic books has forgotten totally. They are also, you should be able to sit down and have fun with a comic book and not have it just for kids, but you should also have something that kids can actually enter and enjoy. Yeah. There's the, so that's, I love the riff on that. Like I was, when you go in and you look, it's got like slaying and other stuff. And we we decided to again, incorporate that. But
Yeah, you got captured, dormant, undead.
yeah,
I like that. Then there's the littlest umbrella in you,
yeah,
the umbrella guy. Yeah,
I thought
that's
it was
really
really
cool.
funny. Yeah, and I never want people to think it's a vanity project there. It's, my daughter looks at that. If you ask her what these books are about, it's her and her dad going out, and saving the world or something. So I mean, it's cute, it's a fun thing.
Yeah, I mean, how many parents can really say that they've found something like this that they can share with their kid? And I mean, even though I think you said something about your daughter's like, Dad, I don't really like comics or something like that. But
Yeah, she did it at one time. That's really what motivated me to be like, what's going on? Because it, like I said, I felt like I was born in front of the damn spinner racket or at the store. I used to go there all the time. Anytime I could get money, I just grew up on that. And then when I became a professional, I stayed with it. I always had friends that would talk about getting into hey, why don't you get into theater or this or that? Why? I like this. This is my theater. But lately, I don't like comics as much. I understand what she's saying. They're not as appealing. They're not as good. And we do need. That's one of the things I do believe that we've been looking at lately. We have a lot of indie artists that are popping up. There are a lot of really good ones that have been shunned by this industry. The guy I'm working with now, he should be in comics. I mean, this his talent level is just off the charts, but yeah, he can't get a break. So he can get a break this way.
well, and that's the best part about this compared to like something like the Fandom Menace, to where, it's real hard for a Fandom Menace person to go out and make a Star Wars movie. It's damn near impossible because we don't have the rights. Yeah, you can do a fan film, but you're still limited.
And it's money too. I mean, when
Right.
I can take at 10 grand when I put that in, I would still eat costs for shipping and other stuff. But at that level, I could make a solid set of books. I mean, I could pay people, I could pay them decently. As we go forward too. I mean, we actually add in we add incentive bonuses and stuff like that. I don't want to talk about their pay level, but this
No, that's
stuff,
fine.
it is it keeps them, especially right now with all of this beer virus stuff. The people who are really hurting are artists. And the mainstream industry, I would even go so far as to say they kind of deserved it, because they burned their industry down. But these guys out here in indie field, they barely make money. They do it for the love of it anyway. And I want them to do it for more than the love of it. I want them to go out and to truly be able to create and to get paid for it while they're doing it. I don't know. Like I said, I like this book. It's more put together. Everything about this is a much better project. It's a much better project.
Well, I can't wait to get a chance to take a look at both books. Actually, I haven't had it. Obviously, I missed the first campaign, but I plan on getting this one where I can get the reprinting or whatever you call it, with the new cover, and it looks like it's a very interesting story. Is there something you can kind of give us, just kind of a little synopsis of what the story is about?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, I'm trying to be. We have 4 pages that are set up. You basically at the beginning, you have an escape. And in the escape, you have a mental insight. It's a shout out to Lovecraft, the actual Lovecraft setup. You see Arkham thrown into everything, but there was an actual mental institute that he was motivated by. So that's what we're shouting out there. It's still a shout out to that, but it's a different way of going. The bars behind them are the 2 people that discover it are not just bent, they're almost warbled. They look strange. And then outside you see a female figure crouched on the ledge. There's something wrong. She's her eyes, they're glowing. When she came in, they tell you that she claimed to be possessed and that there was a storm coming. She said that that they couldn't be stopped, that she could not be contained, and they need specialists to solve that. So they bring in, Umbrella. It's and our narrator. Again, all of this would be a classic horror story. You would have a pulp noir, Lovecraftian-esque story, but we have a child narrator. I keep pushing it. I'm trying to get a little closer and a little closer to how far I can go with horror. And there's some interesting places we plan on taking it. Like I said, if you want to see the art, there are 4 sequential pages that are attached to the campaign, and there are 2 pages that they skip page 5, 6, and 7 because they detail plot points. I don't want to blow anything there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, and 9 attached to it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I said, we're sitting down. We're 40 pages, man. I mean, you get into books that size. I mean, we're talking about a good size story. Remember, the mainstream, they produce something that on their best day, they produce 28 pages. That's their best day normally. And it's still got advertisements and everything else. We don't produce advertisements or anything else in it.
Right. Right. Well, and the cool thing about it being a fantasy thing, and you can kind of take it to that horror place, as long as it's not like the realistic stuff. You're doing the like you said, like the Lovecraftian kind of horror. So it is a very fantasiful. I hate to use the term romantic, but it is a romanticized kind of horror kind of. I know how to put it. It's not your typical slash 'em kind of horror.
It's the original. I mean, when we're talking about Lovecraftian, yes, one second. Your phone ringing.
No problem.
But the original idea for that is having something that is indescript, so horrible that the mind can't conceive it. The mere thought of it, when you have like Cthulhu comes up all the time, there's this thing in a sunken city, and it can even creep into your mind, into your dreams, and it drives people mad. I mean, you have that, but we have other aspects of it, and that's the original 1920s pulp noir. Again, having a detective run across something. With this telling, we do allow them to, again, overcome this. At true Lovecraftian tale, a lot of times you may beat it, but at what cost? But again, I mean, we're utilizing that. We're just we're adding a little bit more of that modern slant.
Well, and there is kind of a psychological element too. I can see, because you could possibly that way, because like you said, it is a book for families to where kids can read with their parents and so on. And the thing about it being such a nondescript monster, or at least in the fantasy kind of Lovecraftian monster, is kids can almost put whatever demons they want into that, and not in a nondescript way. I imagine was that kind of your goal with that, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I do want I do want there to be something. You can have like one of the more understood archetypes we have is like running across I'm not saying this is our book, this is not, but running across the fishing village with the worship of the old god there, and that's a kind of a Lovecraftian archetype. I want something that they can run into, they can solve, they can beat. So again, that's more of a modern retelling, but I don't want there to have to be something like a human monster. Human monsters may be motivated by something more otherworldly, but human monsters, that's not escapism to me. I've worked with human monsters, and that's what I would say. Kids, they need to be taught stranger danger, and then they need to be taught escapism. This is escapism, just monsters and cultists, or if you want to put it into easy terms.
Right, and that's like that was kind of what I was getting to, is that any nondescript thing that a kid could like just apply to that, you could do that, and that's I think that's what you're kind of going for. At least that was my question anyway. But
yeah. I mean, in the first book, again, it's more it's safer. I don't want to call it, again, kids, because everyone that picked it up, all the reviews we got from it, we got good stuff. I can see the mistakes in the first one. I learned a lot from the first campaign. Also, props to my artists there. I mean, they are they are the real driving factor behind this stuff. But I learned a lot, and I want to take that forward. I'll probably learn stuff from this. My artist too. You're going to get amazing book because he's like me. We're neurotic in the level that, he sees something wrong. Like he just finished, he updated the cover yet again because he didn't like some of the lighting effects. So he just wrote me and was like, why are you showing that? I updated the cover again. It's like, dude, it looks good, man. It looks good. Lord.
Yeah, the art looks great.
It does. I mean, he's talented, but the story, we put the same amount of love into making sure that the story also it rolls, and it rolls well.
So outside of that, let's talk a little bit something else, because I'm sure you've been talking about this nonstop for the last week now, almost, to where I'm sure you've had your fill.
Well, let me say this.
Absolutely.
This is how I do not. I know other people attach sponsors and stuff to channels and other things. Like I don't want sponsors or anything else. But lately, God, but between mass flaggings, we had the first 24 hours we launched this, we were flagged off the air 4 times, plus we were flagged off the air a 5th time. So 5 times we were targeted to knock us off. So we can't do this. We were also, we've had everything we do flagged so much that we get shadow banned for our live streams, and a lot of stuff gets demonetized to that point. And there are people that think, well, man, you should do YouTube for a hobby. It's do it for free. That's great, except I take time away from my kids and everything else. So I run into sponsors, but I do not like the idea of sponsors because most of them, they're not going to be free speech. So this allows me to run wide open, to be as open and upfront about what I want to talk about anytime. Some of the subjects I want to talk about, this platform hates. So this is how we do it. Plus we challenge the mainstream while doing so. So if people want to back that, they also want to back again. We're all fighting the same thing. Whether
it's weird because you are almost like a real superhero, because some of these people that you are going after you, like, to be clear for those who are listening, Tug hasn't been dealing so much with like Naughty Dog people as you've been, how do I put this?
Nuts, man.
Uncovering the rock, pushing over rocks and finding some of the lesser, how do I put this? Cruddier people online and stuff like that in communities,
I have a problem
communities and stuff like that.
I have a problem about kicking hornets' nests.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and so in April 2019, I was doxxed. My information was put out there. Since then, these people found out, like I worked in mental health. That's why I talk about it now, because they doxxed it. And they spent, days harassing a mental health clinic. My daughter, I did not let her get online with me for a while because they wanted to teach me that the internet was a bad place for a kid. So they talked about horrible stuff, like murder and other things about her, and again, there's no legal recourse for any of this stuff. Maybe you could live in a place and you could do that, but no, they've contacted our police department here. They've come here in real life and talked to our police department to weaponize it. They tried to weaponize CPS against us. I mean, all of this crazy shit. And it emboldens me. Like now, you can't. I'm made of stone. You can't. I only have one setting anymore: attack, expose, and this kind of stuff. Like I said, it makes me. I want to be the only people I want to have any answerability to are the people that show up for my stuff and empower those endeavors. And that's you. Companies forgot that shit. These companies like Twitter, they allow degenerates. I'm talking true degenerates. Maps, they allow them in there. Other companies, they allow people to call you Nazis and all. And just screw all that, man. Let's push the reset button. Let's do it over. Let's do it all over again. We can. We have the power to do it. It may sound like a monumental task, but you know what? I'm a dude that picked up a microphone. I'm sitting in my basement right now, and apparently it scares industry enough
Yeah.
that they empower crazies to come after you.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I mean, with all the stuff you've been through, with what, you know, some of the stuff you cover, I mean, obviously that's, you know, it's going to draw some
Yeah, awesome.
lesser how do I
The
put
worst
this?
are the worst are actually the people that are motivated by some. Again, this sounds so conspiratorial to say, but you see like the CCO of Marvel Comics backpatting people online, and those reprehensible people. The worst thing wasn't the doxing stuff. It just started. That was April 2019. They've never relented. They've tried to associate my name with pedophilia, you know, to ruin my name because I'm a professional. I have a professional license, and people have tried to ruin my life for that stuff. And I will not relent. I don't care. You know, I do not care. They cannot stop me from what I'm doing. But it is creepy. Some of the people that are out there are truly unhinged. And I can say that as I'm saying that as a professional. Some of these people, the people that the government is a scary thing when they want to weaponize CPS. I actually had to get a lawyer to call them and tell them not to get involved. But the other ones, there's a small percentage where they've tried to mail things if they're coming to our area here. That's crazy. Like I don't know. It's an interesting world. I never thought that I would deal with insane people because I talk about stuff on the internet, and I want better comic books too. But I go with it. I don't want that to be, if you're backing a comic though, I don't want that to be a reason you back it. I want you to back it because you want to reset industry and you feel good about the project, or you feel good about, you know, again, if you want to support a father and you know, daughter working together, that's awesome too. But you know, don't support it because, you know, doxing or anything like that. Do not. That's not the point to it.
Right.
I talk about it just because I want to be open about. People ask me, you know, what is YouTube, and like what you know, what should I think about when I when I go to YouTube? I'm like, man, maybe you shouldn't ask me because I have a certain idea of what YouTube is. But anyway, sorry for rambling so long.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's why you're here, is to tell everybody what this is all about. And just to switch gears a little bit, obviously, some of our listeners may have seen you on the show before if they're not fans of yours as well. What got you into the YouTube world in the first place? What brought you into this to begin with?
I used to just upload BS. Now, you know, you'll find like my earliest stuff, like I have a sprinkler video or something. They've done remarkably well too. In fact, I thought about doing an updated one because it's become almost like channel lore. But what really motivated me was in 2018, I was watching people like Ethan Van Sciver be pushed out of the comic industry. And they were being pushed out because of the way they voted, their belief systems. You know, again, people see EVS now and they're like, well, they make excuses sometimes. They're like, well, you know, he's outspoken or that, you know, he says what he wants. Well, he didn't do that then. He was not doing that then. He was actually just sitting back, and nobody had these people's back. In fact, before the thing that got labeled, now people accept the label Comicsgate. But before that, when you had it applied from the outside, there was a creator, Mitch Breitweiser. He had his career because he voted the wrong way. He had people try to destroy his life, destroy his wife's career too. And they did a pretty good job of it. They blackballed him pretty much from the industry, and they almost destroyed his wife's career too. And that was wrong. There was no one to speak up. Nobody did. No, you had one tiny press that stood up and said something about it. And that was it. It was so easy to cancel these people. And when I saw that, it bothered me. I was like, man, you know, standing alone sucks. It really does. There needs to be people that are out there that expose the truth about this, and they point and they say, this can't happen. So I at first I wanted to be positive about my comic coverage, but then I asked this question, you know, who are these people on the comic covers? And yeah, Gail Simone really motivated me to go out and to cover pros and to talk about.
Just kidding.
Well, she said, you know, she backed this she backed this attack on a couple of professionals, and I was vocal about it on Twitter, and she said, I bet you can't make that coherent. I bet you $1. I bet I get to keep my dollar. So that started me doing videos the way I was doing it. I've been doing it for a while. Then I covered the comic industry for a year plus. Then I started talking about due process, right? I talked about the Vic Mignogna instance, where he was basically being destroyed online. I've talked about, stuff like Depp, but I also talk about industry, whatever interests me really. But due process is a big one for me, and in that too. Like in my work from previous, I gave up therapy. I had to give up therapy. I couldn't work with monsters, and I could not work with victims anymore. It messes you up so much. But in working with that, I hear people online using words like pedo. They try to destroy lives with that word, and I know what those people do to people. And hugging a person at a convention, being nice to fans, that doesn't make you that. So that's a fight I'm willing to bank everything on fighting these people, and there should be.
Well, it's become weaponized. Yeah, that's the big problem. Yeah.
It really is a culture war. I mean, we are looking down the barrel of when people say cancel culture, like we treat this stuff like it's a one and done story. Imagine your life when nobody speaks up for you. Imagine it even more when people only talk about it once. I mean, it's your life being destroyed by people. Human lives aren't a one and done story. When they become a one and done story, or when nobody speaks up, we have a real problem. And I don't think we'll go back to that, but we need to encourage people to become louder and louder until we're louder than the people trying to cancel everything out there and destroy our hobbies and everything else.
Yeah, I agree. I'm one who I hate cancel culture. I wouldn't even wish it on people I dislike. I mean, granted, I don't like Ryan Johnson. I don't like Kathleen Kennedy in the position she's in right now, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I don't think they deserve the job they're in, but I don't wish that they were to, have their lives destroyed. I mean, look at guys like John Lasseter and Al Franken and all these guys who really, in my opinion, what they've gotten happen to them doesn't justify the ends, but yet there's other people who've gotten away with 10 times worse.
And you're also talking about meritocracy. You're talking about
right.
Infinity ruined something. Okay, well, the Disney should be smart enough to understand meritocracy. If they take her job away, that doesn't mean you were calling for it. You were just talking about, Star Wars and
exactly
ruining it.
She can go make all the Spielberg movies she wants. Exactly. Yeah, that's my point. Exactly. I'm not calling for her to be canceled. I don't think she should be in the position she's at right now, though. And there's a big difference between that and cancel culture, which is something we're dealing with. Like, that's what you're talking about. And that's a scary thing where somebody cannot just cancel your job or, maybe your status in some, area. It's like you said, it's actually just destroying your life, like to the point where it can destroy marriages, families, not just careers. It's scary.
Well, it's so easy. It's very, I've run into I run into the debate with moral high ground with myself too. Some people I do want to take the low road and rickroll them, but at the end of the day, I can see it. Like, again, cancel culture. All you have to do is sit down, type a few words on the keyboard, and you can ruin lives. I mean, these people, they do it. They don't just do it like with the Vic Mignogna thing. Really brought it home to me because I saw 8,000 separate people that had no idea who a person was. Most of them had no idea. I mean, we're talking about a voice actor here dubbing anime. It doesn't matter if it's some of the biggest anime, it's still a voice actor, American dubbed. And you have 8,000 plus people liking something. That usually means, I was looking at tweet to really think about the spread of that. If some 8,000 people like a tweet, I have a tweet that's been like 954 times on my dashboard, and it's been, the impressions on it are 522,000 impressions off of that. So you have that many people that are that are seeing this kind of stuff as more and more people roll in to try to cancel somebody. Like I said, it's just like that. It's so easy.
It looks like you've done a little bit about 100 something here since we started. Let's flip it again and see if it's gone up anymore. Well, not yet, but yeah, you
That's
guys
cool.
definitely
You
check
know,
out the book. I'm going to throw the link in there again. And
my
if, go
my
ahead.
daily, I always set a goal for the day. My day, by the end of the day, my goal is 575 backers, and we've hit their monetary goal already. You know, I think every business should have a goal for the day, so I always set a goal for myself. We are my first campaign. It took me 11 plus days to cross the $40,000 threshold. So we've done that. I talked about it heavily the first day, so much that I had to take a break the second day. So really, we've talked about the book 3 days, and we've managed to do this. I'm proud of where we are. You know, I hopefully it keeps growing from there. But yeah, we're one backer off of my day goal. So that's actually it's very good. I haven't even really started hitting the roll yet, trying to market. This is the first thing, and people have picked up here, so I appreciate it. I do.
So like you were just saying, and I seen you were saying something about it the other day as well, how this campaign is just it's I mean, how much faster would you say it's going than your first one? Because like you said, it took you that many days to begin
Well,
with.
you have tracking tools in the
Yeah.
in the first one, and it took me 11 plus, so it was right at the, it wasn't just on 11, it was 11 plus in to hit the 40,000 threshold. And we did the 40,000 threshold was hit sometime between yesterday today. I'm not sure when we crossed over exactly, but yeah, it took a lot of time. it took much longer. To give an idea, there was a book called Deadbeats. I launched when I did last time because I wanted to outdo it. There were almost 50 industry professionals attached. Well, 50 industry professionals plus influencers. There was one specific influencer that took part in our doxing, actually, and they had been rewarded for being reprehensible. This was their reward, and I wanted to outdo it. I wanted to see what it would do. It took me, again, all of that time to outdo it. This time we outdid their entire run in one day. So that tells you the difference between, what we were doing before and what we've managed now. So we just keep getting bigger. I think I think that's what we have to do. Campaign to campaign, we make them better and better. And again, if people want to change industry, this is the one industry we can impact.
Yeah.
Like you said, I can't make a video game and impact gaming. I can't. Fan films, yeah, you can do that, but the time and interest. This, I can pick up somebody. I can control that project from beginning to end. I can bring in editorial, and with enough money, I can continue to do it until I can continue to do it forever if I need to.
Right. And that's what's great about it is if you guys can't necessarily back the campaign right now, that's fine. It's tough right now, but what you can do to help out is share out this link for this video that you're watching right now, so people can come on in. I'm sure we're being ghosted by YouTube. If not, you can always share out the link as well, because yeah, you may not be able to afford it right at this moment in time, but you might have 5 friends who can, and they may be introduced to something. They may not know who Tug is. So I mean, it's always worth sharing. Sharing is the one thing on YouTube, and when it comes to like the Comicsgate campaigns and all these other things, that they help so much. Like, you guys make so much more of a difference than you realize. Like what Tug's just talking about. It's because of you guys that these campaigns work, and we're well aware of that. And that's kind of what this whole thing is built off of: is the fans, is the community, is
Yes. We're grassroots. I mean, we are literally grassroots brands. We're not. I'm beholden to no one except the consumer. That's the way I look at it. I'm not bigger than the consumer in any way, shape, or form. I'm glad to be here. I end every video and everything else. I don't want you in 6 months to regret backing what I do, and that's something that the industry cannot do. Again, I know not everyone is passionate about comic books, and that's okay too. Like I said, we're all fighting. We're all fighting the same thing, though, and this is also how I don't even know. At one time I wanted to wake the industry up. I don't even care. I don't want Marvel to succeed. I don't care if they come back to us. I'm done with them. You know, I love comics though, so I'll continue backing indies. But I've never been. I love superhero books to a point, but I've always been more of an indie person. You know, I really love detective noir books, you know, like Parker or The Killers, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Criminal. So, I mean, that's really kind of my motivation in it.
Right. And that's the best part, Wendy. It's you don't have to do it today. I mean, obviously you've got almost a month left to if case. I don't get paid for a few days.
We'll probably go into demand and stuff too while we work on it. Basically what that means is while we work on it, it's still available. We won't just shut down, you know.
Right.
We'll keep it there. Yeah, you know, if people want, I mean, again, you don't have to back anything. I appreciate you if you do. If you don't, that's fine. You know, we pick what we want. I mean, you're the consumer. It's your money. You know, nobody is obligated to your money. Nobody's obligated to your nicety either. I would even go.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Even just a share. I mean, it's free. Costs you nothing but a click. You never know. You could share this comic book with somebody who this might be exactly what they need, you know, right now in this situation to kind of communicate with their kid, or just they need it for the fantasy element of it because they need to escape this whole, you know, pandemic we're in the middle of. Yeah, exactly.
Some people were like, "Hey, launching right now, is that good?" I think it's the best time because we can sit down, we can push this. It's escape. Even the campaign is escapism, you know, because again, it gives you something better to focus on. You know, you can focus on the fact that everything in the news is bad. People are talking about, you know, doom, gloom, and we're locked down and everything. Or we can focus on something again. We can control this. We can enjoy it. It's interesting that in this day and age, even a campaign needs to be escapism because you know, things are so backward in the media.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, talk about backward. I mean, that's what made this entire community that I'm a part of, really. I mean, so that's the thing is where these two worlds collide. Definitely. Yeah.
I know I covered a lot of Star Wars. You know, I've been a fan of Star Wars. I can look across the room and see, like, you know, my Rancor and stuff like that. You know, I've kept around for the longest time. My 12-inch, figures like Boba Fett. I still need to pick up an IG-88. I've got a remake of it, but you know, somebody stole my freaking IG-88, my original figure from the 80s, the big one, not the 6-inch, but the large figure. But yeah, I mean, I know the love for that, and I know what these people did to it. But the Fandom Menace folks are awesome. They invest more time watching videos. Like I'm obsessed with numbers, and one of the numbers that I notice from Fandom Menace is when you cover Star Wars stuff, the watch time is longer because they're, you know, the grouping there is so invested in that medium, and that's great. I think that's a beautiful thing.
Right. Let's show your trailer, if that's all right. You got a trailer on the thing here. Well, let's show that real quick. Little animation. I thought that was neat. I can get it up here. There we go.
Hey there. So you want to hear about those things that go bump in the night and that cause people to shrink in all ages fear? That umbrella guy and little umbrella girl have you covered in another case for the littlest umbrella. 40 pages of all ages, full color, Lovecrafty and goodness, plus so much more. Check this out now.
All right, there you go.
Yeah,
that was cute.
You know, what's bad is we get so many people that flag stuff. Originally, that had a mystery machine broken down. It looked like it'd been attacked by, you know, monster scars on it. But I was afraid these people would try to flag it off Indiegogo to get out.
You could have painted it green with the, you know, flipped around some of the stuff. And
man, they tried to take us down with Capcom, and oh my God, an umbrella face. I'm like, dude, it has nothing to do with it. You know, it's not there you all you have to do is change up things. I think 10%, and yeah, it has nothing to do with Capcom. But yeah, they tried there's been a lot of talk about a certain guy lately. I'm not going to say anything about who he is, but that guy, with stealing Solo, he tried to deplatform stealing Solo by contacting Disney, by contacting Harrison Ford. He got to the secretary of Harrison Ford. I mean, these are the people we deal with, and that's fine. I love every day, every cell is a punch in their face, every single one, because they're just so bitter and hateful. I mean, it's like I said, it's amazing. I never would have thought indie comics or YouTube or anything else would be that way, but I wouldn't change anything. I like fighting with these people sometimes, and I love having success against them.
Yeah, the worst part, I think, or at least for the most part, I think it's jealousy. And then you have, like you said, a lot of it's just, oh, you don't agree with my politics and you hurt my fifis. I'm going to take you down.
I think some of it is just hate. I mean, we have hate that is out there, like it's not just jealousy. Yeah, there's a level of jealousy, but man, it is so, like some of the stuff I see people do, it goes beyond anything like that. Like I've worked with the mentally ill, and I think the mentally ill are much nicer to work with than these people. Yeah, but yeah. Somebody said, "What a scumbag move!" Oh yeah, the stealing Solo thing. It should really showcase again what we're up against with this kind of stuff. They've been trying to put us in our place. I mean, that's lovely. I love the fact that they failed against stealing Solo too. That was really funny.
Right. We got a super chat here from Robert Lovito. Thank you so much. He's a big supporter of the channel. This will officially be the third comic I've ever bought. The tug cover is wholesome. Well, all right. Thank you so much for supporting the comic, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. But yeah, I don't want to drag this out too much longer. I know you got some other commitments coming up here as well. Tomorrow night on the show, we got another. You didn't have to do that.
Yeah, I really wanted to be able to, again, that cover, seeing her, like her reaction, it's amazing to be able to do something like that. And it's even more amazing, like when I look at the numbers for it. So her cover by itself, the first tier, there's 136 of those. Then there's, another 44. I mean, there's well over, like when I'm going through here, there's well over 400 of her cover going out to people. So that's absolutely amazing. I mean, she, at 6 years old, she has a professional product. She is part of a team, and it's done, I think really well there. Like I said, S.K. Bennett's an amazing talent.
Well, I think one thing that really spoke to, I think how this is a great influence on your daughter is the fact that you said that she sat there and she signed 20,000 books. And the commitment to that, I think that speaks to your daughter's character and how you've raised her so far, even at such a young age, that the commitment she had to that, I think speaks wonders of just how something like this can be just a positive influence, even if she may not necessarily, understand it right now exactly. I think it's something that later on in life she'll really look back on and appreciate and see as a very unique thing that obviously, most kids don't get this kind of a thing. It's not like their dad can actually even manage to do something like this. So, I think that's really kind of cool.
Well, it's like I said, it's interesting what we can make out of YouTube. But again, this stuff literally goes to the betterment of their lives. I like how the industry too pretends that when you make money, you're never supposed to talk about like how you spend it. I spend it to better, my family's life. I never imagined being counterculture as just, again, I'm a professional. I've come out of the mental industry. I'm not saying what I do anymore right now. If they ever figure it out, that's awesome. But I won't go any further than that. But I've been in higher education before that. Before I went to college, I worked in factories. I also worked with the mentally ill back when, just as somebody, at an $8, or I don't remember what minimum wage was then. It was low, but I don't know. I never thought that would be the, the hallmark of counterculture, or the fact that, again, father of two, happily married. I never thought, again, my views aren't so extreme. So of course I have to be counterculture, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to drag this out too much longer because I want to leave this up so people can actually see this video and it doesn't kill the channel even more than my channel is. But no, again, everybody, you got quite a few more days to back this, so don't panic. The best thing you can do if you can't afford it right now, if you want to support Tug, is to just share it out at least. That way, like I said, you never know who could pick up on it. And then if you can support it, you've got time. Nobody's saying you have to, obviously. But I'm gonna.
You have to. No,
I'm gonna. So he talked me into it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'd planned on it as soon as I get paid here this month. It's one of the first things I'm gonna do, even though I have a lot of shit to do. But no, I definitely. I'm looking forward to this. And I was sad I missed the first campaign because I mean, I discovered you, but I didn't really know you did the comic book stuff. And I see that, it was basically a year ago that you did the first one. I was like, oh, darn, I missed out on the whole thing. But
I learned, like I said, I learned a lot during that time too. I learned a lot about shipping fulfillment and just all this other stuff.
Well, yeah, and it's not easy. I mean, I know Jeff pretty good, obviously, who did Stealing Solo and all the shit that he's been dealing with. And I can say flat out to people who, he's done everything he can. He's been on top of it from day one. He's it's always something in the back of his mind. He mentions it all the time. So I've seen and heard a lot of shit said about him and the whole situation. And I know what he's going through trying to do it. And it's not easy. It's not easy. But like you said, the best thing about something like this is it is tangible. It is achievable with, very minimal, resources compared to putting a movie together or something like that, a video game, like you were saying.
I mean, and look at the impact that some of this stuff has had. Like, look at, I think Van Sciver is a perfect point there. I mean, he's made enough noise in this alternative comic book movement that the mainstream hasn't been able to ignore it. Again, I know we get noisy. I mean, we're human too. I have my moments. These people get under my skin. I react as a human being. So I mean,
I've seen you handle most of this stuff with more tact and just, I would not be able to be as calm as you are with some of this. I mean, I've seen you upset about this stuff, but I've seen you get knocked off the air and just the shit you deal with, man. I wouldn't be able to go at it with such a cool head. I do envy you in that respect.
I just think it's all, it's all part of this game. We know that, if we want to win this game, then unfortunately, I'm not saying we have to take the high road ever. I struggle with it. Like I said, I struggle with the high road, but it is part of it. These people are nasty and they play to win. Like when, the saddest thing I see are allies in this game fighting with each other because, those people over there, they have one purpose. If they're they're not just anti your hobby, they're anti you. And they're pretty,
exactly,
they're pretty united in it. They're pretty united in taking.
Well, like you said, like even if you were to use the mystery machine, all they would do is just cause you issues. There's nothing anybody could do. It's a parody. It was just like the whole thing was Stealing Solo. There's nothing they can do.
It's about getting you flagged too. Indiegogo, putting you in review, costing you time in your campaign.
Exactly.
Again, I know better. I pick my fights. It's just like I know not to. In my videos, I cover the Johnny Depp thing and his ex-wife, and YouTube does not like you talking about her. So I call her the nameless one or AH or stuff like that. I mean, you got to play by a certain set of rules when you do it. That and when you play the game well, you can win. We will win over time. It's just it'll be a long slog forward. When we win too, we need to stop begging companies to please listen to us. I realize Star Wars is a certain type of property that, again, you can't go and remake, but at a certain point when companies disrespect you as a consumer, would you take this from anything else? No. I mean, we've been, when you've been fighting and arguing about this stuff for years, if companies can't wake up to the fact that something needs to change, then we need an alternative. We need something else. And I don't want to lay, like for comic books, I don't want to lay comic books down. I would rather find indies. I would rather create something else, and that's what we're working on.
Absolutely, and I agree with you 100% on that. And I'm glad to see it thrive as it has. Even with guys like Ethan and I hang out with like Literature Devil and like Yellow Flash, and all you guys are all doing such great work. I don't want to leave anybody out, but we just had Frag on yesterday. We're going to have Red Gaze on this week. So like we're trying to do our best to support you guys because we believe in this 100%. And it's the best way to show the industry how it can be done. And like you said, we're living in a day and age where I've never seen this before, where it's like walking into a Burger King and ordering a Whopper and them telling you to fuck off. You know, you'll take this and chicken sandwich because it's better for you instead. You know, it's like, then that's not what I ordered. You know, that's, and I totally understand exactly where you come from. We've talked about that quite a bit too. And it's just, I'm glad to see that this community has come together to support everybody, and just to see some great work come out of it. And I can't wait to see all the stuff I've backed, and Cecil is another one I backed too. And I can't wait to see some of the stuff that comes out of this. It looks great.
Yeah, I think the real kick in the teeth, I think, for the industry stuff are people like Cecil or myself or Raging Golden Eagle. People that we're not pros. We don't have a resume to go back to. We had consumers that said, yeah, we'll give you a chance, go make what you want to make. And we did. That's cool. We got to our 575. See, that's our day limit. I haven't even started pushing today. We hit it there. I appreciate it. When I say that, I'm very appreciative of people backing my stuff. I never want that to come across as just a mechanical answer, or it not to seem appreciative. Again, without people showing up for our videos, or without people getting the noise out about our books, none of this stuff works. So I am very appreciative of what everybody does out there. More than I can say. Thank you, folks.
Yeah, and thanks, Sister Harold, for the $5 super sticker. We appreciate it. And your campaign went up just a little bit more, so I feel better that I think we're going to leave on a positive note.
It picked up. It put me at my day goal. That's what I mean. Everything else is gravy from the day on. Again, I set a day goal. Money wise, the day goal was $42,000. I already passed that, and the backer number was 575. So we hit it. I'm not gonna. I mean, if people want to continue backing, awesome. But that is my minimum limit that I wanted to hit today, and we did that. Again. If I don't hit something in a day, I think that's a problem with industry too. We should be at the end of the day capitalists. If we thought like capitalists, if we planned like capitalists, if they did that, then they would have course corrected a long time ago. But then again, I would never have this comic book. So I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22 in that situation. But no, I'm glad to see it go up, even if I didn't have much to do with it. Even if I did, one way or the other, I'm just happy to see it continue to go up. And again, guys, be sure to share out the campaign. You got 26 days left to back this. Once again, I want to thank that umbrella guy for coming on the show here today and talking about your comic book and your life in general and everything like that. And of course, hopefully we'll have you on the regular show here again real soon too. Like I said, you always have an open invitation anytime you want to join us. So
yes, I appreciate it too. I have a lot of fun coming on here. It's a really good platform that's just calm. We can goof off. We can talk about what's going on. We don't have to have a bunch of oddity or, nothing stupid going on. So it's good. I love it.
Absolutely. As long as they don't pull us down, we're fine. That's and I know what that feels like. So definitely check out Tug's channel as well if you haven't. Both links are in the description. We appreciate all your support, and thank you guys for joining us today. Hit that like button, and I'm going to leave this listed for a while, so be sure to share this out as well. That'll also help the campaign. Let's do one more refresh just before we go, just in case, but just want to see if it went up anymore. No, not yet, but I feel good about what we were able to accomplish here today, and I want to thank you again for your time, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so take care, everybody, and thanks for joining us for this special interview with that umbrella guy.
Thank you, folks.